Hey guys, hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing tonight? Uh-oh, my neighbor's dogs are out. My sister-in-law. I know I come usually live at 7, but I wanted to catch the light from outside. Still, I was actually going to do a craft tonight, but I came out here to buff my gator hide, and I thought I would give y'all a demonstration about how to get your gator hide looking fabulous. Let me just put my link here for you guys. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm out here prepping my custom that I did. And I know this light's bright, but it's going to help me show y'all what I'm trying to show you. So what I've done here, this is the custom that I've been working on forever. This is Savannah Mist with black wax. Hi, Sherry. I'm very good, thank you. Very, very good. Been very busy, so that's a good thing, right? So I am done pretty much with this set. I've got a buffet over here. Let me bring y'all this way. So over here is a small buffet. Hey Jason, happy Thursday to you too, bud. Okay, and then here is the bottom of the china cabinet. Okay, that's this. And then I'll bring y'all over here. This is the top. Okay, so all this is Savannah Mist with the black wax. But I was out here, I don't mean to make y'all dizzy, getting my gator hide buffed up because the client wants it to be a little bit shinier than gator hide. So you can apply your gator hide and not buff it, and it'll give you a slight higher sheen than satin. Not much, just a little bit. Not even hardly very noticeable. Hi, Amy, unless you have them side by side, like on a practice board or something like that. You can see the difference in the sheens. But so I was out here buffing this gator hide, and I was getting ready to do this side, and I was going to run in and do a craft with you guys. Hi, Matilda, welcome. And I decided that I would show you this first because I showed you how I applied the gator hide this last time, which was a hint that Amy gave me, and I love it. And let me get the pad how I did it. So, as y'all know, when I apply gator hide, or actually any top coat, I always strain it first, and this is the strainers that I use right here. Hi, how are you doing? And I use a plate. This is my newest way of doing this. Strain it into my plate, and then I'm using the applicator pad by Dixie Belle to put the gator hide on. I have a video showing that process like 3 videos ago on the other dresser that I was doing, and that's how I applied it to these today. Okay, it's a little humid out here. I wanted to spray, but I was, if it hits that a little bit too humid, then the top coats just don't spray. I did spray the Savannah Mist on these, and it sprayed beautifully. But this is how I do it. If you want to see how I applied the gator hide, you can check out that other video. Okay, and then the way I'm going to buff this today is with the steel wool. This is the Quadot or 400000 steel wool. Make sure you use this steel wool. Anything less, hi Debbie, anything less than this and you will scratch your piece, okay? And I'm not quite finished with this one, but I'm going to show you just after one buffing. I've got 2 coats of gator hide on here. I actually have a coat of flat before I did the wax, and then I have 2 coats of gator hide, and I will do one more coat of gator hide because these are going to be heavily used in the dining room. So I want it to have at least 3 coats of the gator hide. Hi, Paige. So after I buff this one, I'm going to do one more coat, and then buff that, and then I'll be. I always strain my top coats because it's just my personal preference. I'll show you an example of my gator hide container. Okay, so this is my gator hide container, my latest one, and as you can see, it is gross. It doesn't matter how careful I am. Gator hide dries very quickly, and so because of that, you can get flakes, okay? It doesn't even matter. I would put it into a container, a separate container to use. And if I don't use it up quickly, it'll start to dry on the container. And then you'll get flakes in your peaks. So I always strain first all my top coats. The other top coats don't flake as much. But if there's anything in them, I don't want that on my peaks. You know what I'm saying? So I just buy these in packs. They come in packs of 50 and 100, I think. And so I just get these. They're inexpensive, and it just saves me any headache with anything being in my top coat. I'm sorry for that light back there, guys. Oops. Turn it just a little bit. Okay, so let me show. I'm gonna try and give y'all a visual of this. I wanted to show you while it was sunny or partly sunny. So this one's done. Let me see. I'm going to move the light so you can kind of see. You can see in this one how the light is distorted. See how the light's distorted? That's because it's not been buffed. Okay, it has 2 coats. It's got a few little streaks. Let me move this. It's not bad though. It's not bad. All I did was Gator Hide. I did not add any color to my Gator Hide. I just did straight up Gator Hide. So it's got a couple little streaks. Again, this is just my second. Hi, Susan. I know. It's from experience. When I make mistakes, I try to learn from them. Okay, so this one has not been buffed yet. And as you can see, the light's a little bit distorted. You can see how it's just a little bit dull. And I'm going to try and show you the difference. I'll move the light. Because the buffer it gets, see how the light is less distorted? See that? It looks like it has streaks, but it's just the wax and stuff I've got wax and stuff on there. But do you see how shiny that is? Okay, and see how that's distorted? See how the light's distorted? Okay, so I'm going to show you how I do it real quick. Let me just move this light up like that. Okay, so unless you have really deep streaks, this is very smooth. It's like butter. If you have deep streaks that you cannot get out with your steel wool, you can go across the grain, but then you want to make sure your last wipes are with the grain. If you think about buffing a car, something I have done, I painted my husband's last car, and actually we're waiting for the weather to cool. I'm painting his new 2004 Camry. It needs painting. So when you're painting a car, your clear coat gets many steps of sandpaper, of grit. So you start out with like 1,000, you work your way up to like 5,000 grit, you do a wet sand, you do a polish, a buff, and when you're done, your car has that mirror finish. This is very similar in thinking. You're using a very high grit material, because I always sand in between every coat, and so I sand with like a 400 grit in between coats, very lightly. I do a 220 grit on my paint so that it knocks off any nubs or anything, so it's nice and smooth. And so if you think of it like that, you're basically taking your Gator Hide and you're polishing it if you want a high sheen. Now, I don't recommend doing it with the other clear coats unless you're very gentle, because they're not as strong as the Gator Hide. Okay, so you want to keep that in mind. Besides that, they're pretty shiny anyway, especially the gloss. And the flat, you wouldn't want to shine it anyway. The whole idea of using the flat is because you want a flat matte surface. The satin, it doesn't really need it either. The Gator Hide it's tough, so it gives you the opportunity for a glossy finish, okay? Without having to use the gloss, and you're still maintaining the durability of the Gator Hide. So you have a water repellent surface that you can get the high sheen on, okay? And it's not hard, okay? Now, I have been, for those of you that follow me, you know that I have been painting fabric, and so my arms are worn out. But this had to be done. So, all right, so I'm just wiping off any dust or anything that's on here from being out here in the garage. Got a little something right there. There we go. I hate when I find like little things. Okay, so all you're going to do is you're going to take your, hi Cindy, hi Sherry, Sherry, thank you. So you're going to take your steel wool, 40 steel wool. I call it quad aught just because it's easier to say, but it's 40 steel wool. Don't use anything lower than that. Thank you very much, Cindy. Okay, so when you're doing it, I'm going to try and get y'all at an angle where you can see. I've got my phone. No, I don't have my webcam, so I'm having a hard time seeing what y'all are saying. But basically, you're going to take it and you're going to start doing this. This is it, guys. This is how easy it is. Again, I have 2 coats of Gator Hide on here. I don't buff the first coat because I don't want to go through it. I want to have a good, solid surface. I don't want to go through to the paint and then, then have to start all over again. But I can see in here, I can see the streaks. And I'm just going to buff it like this. I'm applying moderate pressure, not too much, because I'm going to do this, and then I will go back, wipe it down, and do it again. Now, I do try normally to go all the way across, because if you go all the way across, you don't have any stop points, kind of like even when you're painting. So if you can, if you're not doing too big of a piece, then I like to go all the way across. This is how I like to paint. This is how I like to do my top coats. I can see my fingerprints in here. Just the oils in my hands. We forget how oily our hands can be, right? And you can just look on the end to see how you're doing. Just look at it on the end. You will get some white dust from the Gator Hide, and then you'll also get, the steel off the steel wool will show up, and we're going to wipe all that back. And you just keep going until you start to see it smoothing out. You could do this with a high grit paper, anything over 1,000. Hi, Sherry. Well, Live Oak, you are welcome to call me or PM me anytime if you need extra help using the product. I have my website in the comments, and I also have my phone number, and you can also private message me through Facebook. So either way, I'm happy to help you. If you need live help, we can do a Zoom or something like that. And I'm just going to keep going back and forth. It's already starting to shine. Now, again, if I had a really strong resisting streak, say if I back brushed on my Gator Hide, which is a big no-no, don't ever back brush. But if you don't think, like sometimes I'll be like painting it on and I'll be like, oh, I missed something, and grab it. That's not a good thing to do because it can pull the Gator Hide, so it can actually give you a bigger streak than just normal application. What you can do in that case is you can go against the grain. Okay, so you could go this way, okay, and keep your eye on it. Just make sure you're not going through any to the paint. But then, before you're done, you want to make sure you go back with the grain. Okay, you want to make sure you go back this way so that everything's going in the same direction. Okay, so now I'm going to wipe it off to check myself to see if I need to do any more. This is a dry cloth. This is actually the bottom of my pants that I cut off the other day because it was hot. Y'all probably recognize them. These are my paint pants that I don't want to, I'm frugal. I'm not going to throw them away. I'm going to use them. Okay, and then this is a very, very lightly damp. It's actually mostly dry, but it does have some liquid. I'm just going to rub it on here to see how we're doing. And again, this is only if you want your Gator Hide to be a glossier finish, okay? That's what we're achieving here. If anybody has any questions, please ask. If you're new to my page, please say hello so we know you're here. Okay. So we're already getting better. I'll show y'all the difference. That light's going to come in y'all's face. Let's see. I'm going to swipe this away for a second. Okay, so do y'all see how we're getting, let me get it over here. This is heavy. Okay, so you see that? Do you see how we're already getting a clear light? You can see that's not as distorted. Y'all see that? How much better that looks than earlier. If you're just new to the page or to the video, you can catch the beginning on the replay. And I think I saw Celia on here. Okay, let me look at the comments. Celia, hello. Celia, this is actually her pieces that I'm doing for her, and I'm really glad that she likes it. What are you using to smooth out the streaks? This is a 4-0 steel wool. Make sure it's 4 zeros. Anything less than that will be too much grit. Hi, Jillian. Nice to meet you too. Okay, so Susan Ratcliffe. On this one, I did not use it on the sides. I used flat first before I did my wax so that my wax could be easily manipulated. And then I did 2 coats of satin. And I did that because these sides don't need to be water repellent. And this is a big project. The satin is more economical than the Gator Hide. And so, thank you, Amy. So you don't always have to use, occasionally I'll use Gator Hide on the sides, but mostly I'll use satin because the sheen is very similar to Gator Hide. Gator Hide side by side is a little bit more of a sheen than satin, but not really. You can't tell. You wouldn't be able to tell on here if the light was better. You wouldn't be able to tell that this is satin and this is Gator Hide. But the satin is a really good durable finish. It's just not water repellent. And on a piece that I know is going to be getting a lot of use, this is a buffet. They might be putting glasses on here, condensation. You want it to have the best finish that you can have on there. Jillian asks, can you get the same shine on the front face with the Gator Hide? I usually use polyacrylic. So polyacrylic, Gator Hide is a polyacrylic. It's just a more durable. It's water repellent, where all of our other, it's so hot out here. All of our other top coats are water resistant, but Gator Hide is one of the most durable top coats in the industry. And that's another reason why we can buff it, because it's so durable. The other top coats are a little too soft. You could buff them if you were gentle, but if you're going to use one of those and you want it glossy, just use the gloss. There's really no need to do it that way. The reason I'm doing this is because we wanted a little bit more of a sheen on the top, but we still wanted to keep the water repellency, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? So I'm getting there on here, but I still want it to be a little bit shinier, just because that one is, these are the same set. and we want them to look similar. They're not exact because it is hand painted. So anytime you hand paint, nothing's ever going to be exactly the same. That's what gives it the character. So all the wax was applied by hand. I used black wax. I sprayed the base, sprayed the Savannah Mist, and I sprayed the flat coat. And I sprayed the satin actually also. But it was too humid today to spray the Gator Hide. You will not regret it, Jillian. It's a wonderful product. I could have sprayed the Gator Hide. If you spray Gator Hide, of course, you will have 0 streaks in it. It's a beautiful finish, but if it's even slightly humid, I don't spray my top coats because it can cause kind of like an alligator skin looking. Thank you, Amy. Yeah, AJ. So AJ from AJ's Vintage Design is on here, and she is the master of top coats. And I've learned pretty much everything I know from her. So if y'all watch her, you're probably hearing a lot of the same information. But this is just about getting to where I want it, guys. And again, if I change directions, I make sure I go in the same direction to finish. I like to do long strokes, though. This is how I've always painted. Sometimes it's hard when I'm doing a dining room table and I can't get all the way down. I don't necessarily like going crossways, but sometimes it's a necessity to get crossways. But I like to go the length of a piece if I can. So my dining room table, I end up having to go crossways. Yeah, Sherry, I will. I'm mostly because I need a third coat because these are going to be heavily used. You don't have to buff it before your last coat, but because I was going live tonight, I wanted to show you guys how to do it. So normally I wouldn't buff until my last coat. I do sand between coats though. I use like a 400 grit, and I sand in between all my coats of my top coats because if anything gets in there at all, I don't want it to stay there for the subsequent coats, so I get rid of it. I also sand in between my paint because, especially for pieces like this, where I had to use Boss and Slick Stick, which if you didn't see that video, it's a really good video explaining the very, very rare occasion that you would need Slick Stick and Boss on the same piece. This piece was part wood and part, I don't even know what, it was like a paneling type of material. So there we go. This is looking beautiful. All right, you see that shine? See that? And that literally took me what? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? So yes, I will put a third coat on here, and no, I don't normally buff before my last coat. But again, I knew I was going to go live tonight, so I wanted to show you guys. Yes, what Amy said, make sure. Yeah, Jillian, I put poly in my sprayers all the time. But like Amy said, make sure you clean it well. Also, if you are stepping away from it, if you're going to leave your top coat, actually for anything in my sprayers, if I'm going to step away from it, go grab lunch or something, I always clean the tip to make sure it's clean. Like I'll clean the outside of the tip. And then, hey Jane. Yeah, it's big. Hi Sheila, thank you so much. So, just when you walk away from it, just clean the tip. If you're going to be away from it for a while, I clean it out in between. I use my sprayer for automotive paint. I've used it forever. I put anything in it except Slick Stick. I will not spray Slick Stick because I just don't trust myself to get every stinking morsel out of there, and Slick Stick bonds to everything. So like I spilled some in my crate that I used to carry my stuff in. I spilled a big glob of it. I didn't realize it was open. That the whole thing dried. It's like this thick. The whole thing dried, and I can't get it off the plastic. Like it's stuck like glue. So when we say you can paint anything, you can paint anything as long as you have the right prep and the right base. So Boss, Slick Stick. And like I was saying, on this piece, I actually did end up with some bleed through. So originally, I didn't think I was going to need Boss on here. I knew I was going to need Slick Stick because the back, I'll show y'all. So the back of this, the back of this is, hang on. It's getting dusky here. So the back of this piece back there, it's like paneling. It had like a very slick surface. Could not be, the sanding did not touch it. So that got Slick Stick back there, okay? All the doors are solid wood. They all got bossed. The tops of these two pieces here, these are both solid wood. So everything on here is solid wood except for the back of here, this back here. I had to Slick Stick it as well. I had like a plastic, I'll show you. I'll lower y'all down just a little bit. Okay. All right. So all these doors are solid wood. That back there is like a paper. This as well. This was like this had a laminate. Thank you, Jillian. This had a laminate top on it. Okay. It was not a veneer, which is wood. It was laminate. Slick Stick, everything else got Boss, and the top of this bled. I had 3 pretty big circles. Hang on. These lights are hot. So I had 3 pretty big circles on top of this piece, but the great thing, thank you, Amy. I hope she likes it. She was just on here. The customer was just on here, and she said it looks amazing. She hasn't seen it yet. It's been kind of a crazy. She had some family issues. So she hasn't been. She's gonna come get them on Sunday. Okay, so don't those tops look good? I'm excited. So this top had 3 about this big around bleed through that did not show up until after I put the flat coat on. That is not uncommon. It's not uncommon for a wood to bleed after you're painted it and then after you polyacrylic. Yes, it is Savannah Mist, Susan. It actually can bleed through days later. So just keep that in mind. If you think that you have a wood that's going to bleed, just go ahead and boss it. So what I did was I did boss it, but I had 3 knots that were not very prominent when I painted it, so I didn't think that they would bleed. You know, you just look at them, they don't look like bleeders. They didn't look like pine knots. So I just put my boss on there, painted it, top coated it, and then those knots all bled through. So what I did was I took my boss and I just spotted those places and then put another coat of paint. I had already waxed this piece, the top and everything. So you can't really touch up when you're waxing, doing decorative finishes. So I basically had to redo the whole top. But it looks beautiful now, so I'm okay with that. So as long as it's not bleeding. But anyway, so if you guys have any other questions about anything that I've done, if you're looking to see how I applied the Gator Hide, I didn't do a video on these particular pieces, but I have a piece, actually it's a Savannah Mist and Stormy Seas blended piece that I did the top coat. I showed you how I did that. Yes, I do, Jason. I always have Boss. I just went Premier in a second location, so I'm always stocked up. And I believe I have both. I'm almost positive I have both. Now that you asked me about 32 ounce, Jason, when I jump off of here, I'll check my inventory really quick. I think I have a 32 ounce at my second location, but I'll let you know. If not, we can always drop ship unless you're in a hurry. So Susan, Dixie Belle wax is water-based, and so it can be painted over. You do not have to remove it. Once it's dry, you can paint over it. You can top coat over it. I like to top coat over my wax because I want it to stay where I put it. Okay, that's one of the things that drew me to Dixie Belle in the first place was that, yes, Chris, it did. Some woods just are very resistant to tannin blockers. It's not common that I have to redo it, but I do have to. I'm good at my neighbor's walking by. It's probably like, what is she doing over there talking to herself? But, so anyway, I'm a little bit embarrassed. It's like, I'm over here on TV. I'm just kidding. Okay. So that was a little awkward. Okay. So yes, it can bleed after Boss. But it's not common, but it can happen. So Jason, I'll check with you. I'll PM you after I jump off of here. And now I lost my train of thought because my neighbor was walking by. But if you want to see how I apply the Gator Hide, there's a prior video. It's not too far down on my Facebook page. Maybe 3 videos ago. Yes, so Linda, it can happen. Okay. And there are some woods, if you get a cherry or a mahogany, you know, it can take 3 coats of Boss. And even then, if a 3 coats of Boss doesn't do it, which I've never had to use more than 3 coats, but almost always just 2 coats. But if I cannot get it to stop bleeding after 3 coats, like if I do 2 full coats and then I spot a 3rd coat, like if this didn't work, I would have gone to a shellac. I don't like using shellac because it's a messy cleanup. Thank you, Linda. Can you put the top coat over the wax? Yes, ma'am, you can. So that was one of the things that drew me to Dixie Belle was the fact that the waxes were water-based. And so they do not have to be removed in order to paint back over the top of them. If I didn't like this look, I could paint the entire piece again with no worries. And that is a beautiful thing because I don't have to use mineral spirits to get it off. So I must have missed something. I'm just checking comments. What would you recommend sealing a Dixie Belle or DIY painted kids plastic playhouse with it? So like AJ said, Gator Hide. Now I will say that I have never sealed any of the pieces outside. I've not done furniture with Dixie Belle outside yet. I probably will. But I've used Gator Hide on terracotta pots and concrete outside. I have not sealed it, and it has not faded, chipped, or cracked. I will say that. On plastic, you definitely want to use slick stick first, Matilda. If you're doing plastic, you're definitely going to want to use slick stick first. But like I said earlier, when I spilled the slick stick into my crate, I can't even pull it up. It's like this thick, and it's stuck like glue. I have a desk that I have used 3 coats. Yeah, see, so Sherry has had to use 3 coats of Boss as well. So Susan, you typically would only need to use 1 coat of Boss. Now, if you're using it for odors, like the inside of a piece, I have a beautiful French linen cabinet, a fine linen cabinet that I did. It's an antique. It's very old. It was musty. So I sprayed clear Boss all on the inside of it twice. No more smell. It smells neutral. There's no smell at all to it. So on the Boss container, it will tell you 2 coats for odors, 1 coat. But there is no product that I know of that you will always only have to use one coat. I guess that should say. So is Kills been, oh, it's already painted. Okay. So anything that's just resistant to boss, I mean, I don't think that I've ever, I may have had one piece that I've had to go use shellac. I used to use shellac for everything. But one thing about the shellac, I don't think it plays very friendly with the TSP. And even though White Lightning is a TSP alternative, I try not to use it with any of the shellacs. Don't quote me on that. But Dixie Belle products all play so nicely together. Aw, thank you, Wendy. I just prefer to use them. And like I said, I don't like to use shellac just because of the cleanup. Like I wouldn't put it in my sprayer. No. I'll use automotive paint my sprayer all day long because I can put the lacquer thinner in there and get it out. But I have another neighbor going by. I'm gonna move over here. I'm a little bit too far out in my garage. How's that? I'm so goofy. Okay, does anybody have any more questions? Oh, Wendy, you're so sweet. Check and see. You're welcome, Matilda. And if you have any other questions that I did not answer, please private message me or call me, and we'll try and help you out. And also, we can also do a Zoom or FaceTime or whatever if you feel like it's something that I need to see to help you with. I'm happy to do that too. Oh, Wendy, I know. That's the second neighbor that's come by, though. They're like, what is she doing over there? And it's hot as heck out here. Where's fall? Amy. Now I'm blushing. This is ridiculous. I am not a superstar. I am a hot mess. I spilled 32 ounces of Savannah Mist yesterday. How's that? Yes, I did. Anne, hi. Welcome. I think you're new. Thank you, Jillian, so much. I love teaching. I love explaining stuff. I could sit here all day and explain stuff to y'all. So I'm going to just spin y'all around now that we've got the sun is going down. You can see the shine on these guys. Woo, woo. I know, Wendy, right? That is the first time I've ever spilled paint. Hi, Heather. It's the first time I've ever spilled paint, and it was almost an entire 32 ounce. And no, I didn't scoop it up because it was out in my garage, and it went on the floor. And thankfully, I was working on the back. I was behind this piece here. So I was behind here, and you can see, can y'all see where the paint splat? You probably can't see it because of the light, but there's a big blue splash mark, and I was just really, really glad it wasn't on the front. Oh my gosh. Anna, welcome. So if you're just joining, just check out the replay to see how to do the Gator Hide. I should have done a smear. Yeah, I actually didn't even take pictures of it. I was frustrated. I was not happy. I wasn't happy about it at all. But I was really happy that it was the back side of my piece. All I kept thinking was, that's the only time that it's a pain when you're doing a decorative finish with the wax. If you make a mistake, you've got to redo whatever section you're doing. Hi, Aunt Kate. And tomorrow I'm going to show y'all. I made something for my son for his birthday, and I want to show y'all. Let me see. I'm going to take y'all inside real quick. I'm going to show y'all this. Don't get dizzy, okay? This is something I don't usually do for those of y'all who aren't used to my lives. I don't usually move around the house. But I want to show y'all something that I made today because I really like it. And it's going to go to my son tomorrow, so I won't have it anymore to show you. Come into my office. I'm sorry, Wendy. Come on. So what do y'all think of this? Let me lower you down. Stop it, Wendy. What do y'all think? I know it's backwards. My son is addicted to plants. Okay, let me turn the air conditioner off. So my son is addicted to plants, and he doesn't watch my lives as much as I tell him to. But I made this, and I was so proud of myself because I actually made the frame. I mitered it all myself. I was so happy because I've always wanted to do crown molding and stuff, but I get very intimidated by mitering, so I thought this would be a very quick practice with the mitering. And look at those joints. I didn't even have to mud them. Thank you, Betty. I love my tools too. Thank you, Matilda. Y'all are so sweet. So I put some succulents down here, and they're all fake. And I put, you know, the foam for plants. I just stuck them in there, and then I glued it to the bottom. And then this part up here is removable. So if he wants to change it out or whatever, he kind of likes, my daughters always say he's very in touch with his feminine side, even though he's very much a man. I did make them, Sherry. This is, I just got this stencil this past week, and I had a piece of wood out in the garage that was perfect size, and I just cut it with I almost went live to show y'all how I cut it with my chop saw. Is that something that y'all would want to learn how to do, is use tools? Because I love tools. But I used a clamp on, I don't have the most sophisticated equipment. I wish I did. No lasers or anything. My equipment's very old. My saws are very old. So I have to do things, you know, not sophisticated wise. Can't see the whole thing. Aunt Kate, that is the whole thing. Ugh, see? It's big. There's the flowers. It's very tall. The reason it's so big is because originally I used a stencil to do this, and the stencil was a lot bigger because the stencil hadn't come in, but then I decided to redo it. Oh my gosh. Wendy, she does like her tools. So anyway, so I cut these all perfectly. I'm so proud of myself. They're all exactly the same size. I'm actually thinking about making a bunch of them and putting them in the shop so people can make their own signs. Or I guess I could do custom signs, but so yeah. And this was just like it's just I bought trim pieces. So these are like already I just went around Lowe's and tried to find something easy to do. And then I used my my nail gun, love it, to nail it in. And then these are just wood glue. Anyway, that's what I did. All right, so I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna go do. I've got some more crafts. I got so much stuff from Doris. Corner molding. Yeah, I guess that's what it's called. I got a bunch of new stencils and stuff, so I'll probably will be doing some more craft lives. Okay, Sherry, I will. I almost went live when I was doing it, but I was practicing with, I really want to do the miter, but I got to get a little bit better because I made one mistake. And because I made one mistake, I had to make another straight cut because I didn't want to go buy any more wood. But I'm pretty proud of those miter joints. And of course, these weren't hard to do, but I used a clamp to make sure they were all exactly the same size. And then I used Voodoo Gel Stain. I used white with brown on here. And then this, I painted this in coffee bean because I had to cover up the stencils and the gel stain wouldn't cover that up. And so I used coffee bean to cover up my prior mistake. And then I used the gel stain, the Voodoo Gel Stain, and Tobacco Road, white, and black. And I just did the streaky finish. But, all right, I'm going to let you guys go. Take care. I'll see y'all next time. Hopefully in the next few days, we'll pull a craft together or something, because I'm not starting that next piece of furniture until next week. All right. God bless. Thanks for joining me.